this film is bonkers in terms of the box office. It is like, it looks like it's tracking more than Endgame. It might have already reached $1 billion at the box office globally. What did it only came out this week? Like, holy crap.
It's been 5 days or something, 5 or 6 days since it's been out.
I mean, I'm kind of shocked that this film is doing so well. And it raises many questions about the nature of superhero films, the box office, and all things. And so this meme kind of encapsulates some of the questions, where it's like, compare Spider-Man with Supergirl.
Okay, well, it is Spider-Man. Let's be real. It is Spider-Man compared to Supergirl. Now, just as characters, as comic book characters and stuff like that, think of the popularity of Supergirl compared to the popularity of Spider-Man. So there is that element straight off the bat that there is going to be a difference there. Even if, let's say, Spider-Man was on the same shit level of a movie as Supergirl was, Spider-Man still doubles at least doubles Supergirl's box office in the opening weekend.
But that also raises a question, Rhino. It's like, there's no reality where like Supergirl is as popular a character as Spider-Man. So why did they make Supergirl? Is this like the second film in this new DC universe of James Gunn? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was like Superman was the lead, and then they followed up with Supergirl.
Yeah.
What are they thinking? Are they insane? It needed to be Superman, Batman. Like, that's the only sane approach to launch the DC universe. You lead with your two biggest hitters. And once they establish themselves and people are invested in this new universe, then you can start to do the side characters.
I would argue more than that, Shad, that if it's DC we're talking about, it needs to be the Trinity. Those are your three big tentpoles for the entire DC universe. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They should have nailed that right out of the gate before. Arguably, Zack Snyder should have done the exact same thing for the Snyderverse. It probably would have worked a little bit better than what we got, but I'm not going to get into all of that, okay? And I will say, I am a little surprised about this too, because let's be honest, Tom Holland's Spider-Man has worked really well in Avengers movies, but his own trilogies have been kind of tepid. No Way Home notwithstanding, but when you look at his, Homecoming and the first two that he had, they were kind of okay. They weren't the worst by far. That was the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which was not Andrew Garfield's fault, by the way. Yes. But the last one, No Way Home, like that was really, really propped up by the cameos and Garfield and Maguire's Spider-Man's coming in. And I'll be honest, the only reason I even saw that movie, because I wanted to see more of Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. Just one more time to see my favorite super villain of all time in live action by his best representation. But man, I got to tell you, I was a little surprised, but not terribly so, because from everything that I've heard, this sounds like it did absolutely bangers. There was more right with it than there was wrong with it. And frankly, that's not something we've gotten from the MCU in the past several years. It's really been the opposite of that.
And just on this one, the people saying they think it's 722, not 126. I've also seen it reported that the global thing for Supergirl was 200 million. And I'd want to check, but her full run, it was not 726. It was not 700.
I can check that right now.
Yeah, right. If you'd be able to double check, I appreciate that. I think her total box office run was 200 million for Supergirl.
Okay, based on Box Office Mojo, their worldwide run is 125.8 million.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's bad. This is accurate. It was like 126 is basically that, rounding up.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So that's right.
That's terrible. Wow, that is bad.
126 million entire run.
Holy,
Would you describe that as a little messy, James Gunn?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, that is embarrassingly bad. Yes, an absolute disaster. Wow. But
yeah, so Spider-Man, obviously, under any circumstances, I think is always going to do better than Supergirl. Under any circumstances. The thing is with this is, yes, I feel like everybody's gone and seen Spider-Man, and I don't want to sound cruel or anything, even myself included in this, sort of had your beer goggles on, and you sort of saw the web slinging and the combat, and it looked awesome and it looked really good. For me, as soon as I watched EFAP, I my mind changed a little bit on it. It came down in stature.
Well, no. We'll talk about the the content of the film in the next segment, because I'm actually there with you. I was meh on the film, and then I started thinking about it, and it just got worse. And EFAP was bringing up the same things, and I was like, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. But there is content to discuss about it. And the thing is, though, then it brings us back to this about, if the film actually isn't great, what are people enjoying about it? Because there is something
exactly what I just mentioned: the web slinging, the combat, the fact that it's Spider-Man doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
We did get to see him go up against, Scorpion.
That's what I'm noticing. That's what I'm noticing.
That's what people are getting the enjoyment out of this.
And don't discount him palling around with Hulk and Punisher, which I'd never thought Spider-Man and Punisher would be palling around in a movie together. I kind of hoped, and I do like mostly the current version of Punisher. So him hanging out with Tom Holland Tom Holland Spider-Man is just it's a little enticing. I'm not going to lie. The clips I've seen look really good, but I think it's a lot of elements from a lot of stuff, and it's making people kind of gloss over what's bad about it.
Well, it makes sense because Punisher was introduced in Spider-Man.
Right, I know.
No, yeah.
But
I wanted this movie.
Other spider media and street level media where he just kind of shows up. He's a presence that's there that doesn't always get shown. I'm still pissed he didn't show up in the final battle of Endgame. But that's just me.
I wanted this entire movie to be the opening montage of this movie.
Yeah. The marketing was very effective.
I wanted him to go up against the Sinister Six or so. Like, fucking, can we start introducing, and him just going up against some fucking awesome Spider-Man villains?
Yeah,
do we really have to expand it out to this kind of level of story too? Like, we finally got to a point at the end of the last one, No Way Home, where it is just him. It's Spider-Man. Let's just be and we get the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man going up against all these fucking awesome villains and stuff like this in a montage at the beginning of the movie to catch us up to modern day, basically.
Well, there is that, but like, which nerd is not going to want to see Spider-Man versus the Hulk? That is in the film, and I think that alone is going to just latch onto so many people that love Spider-Man for any amount of time or reason, that like Spider-Man versus the Hulk. I got to see it, because here's the thing, right? The marketing was very good. Those trailers baited people in, and you're right, Rhino, that in actual fact it kind of was subverted a bit, because the trailers promised a decent amount of content that was not delivered on in the film. But the fact that this film had such a monstrous opening box office, right? That is a success, not based on positive word of mouth. Word of mouth wasn't even circulating for the opening weekend to be as monstrous as it was. That is so many people saying, I'm rocking up to the theaters without hearing the reviews or anything like that. I just need to see this film. And so that must be the main thing that a lot of people have latched onto.
Well, Shad, how many people really enjoyed the last Spider-Man movie?
I think a lot of people. I didn't. I was one of the few people.
That's fair enough. I'm just saying, majority of people actually thought the last Spider-Man movie was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
like cameos,
it
had
into
the three exactly. I was going to get to that.
It leads into people then wanting to come and see the next iteration of that story.
Yeah,
and it's the same. It's exactly what happened with the MCU from Phase 1, moving up to Infinity War and Endgame, and building up, and people enjoying the next iteration and the next iteration and the next iteration. They might have had problems with it. They might have had problems with this. They might have had problems with that. But they generally liked each next iteration going forward. When you get some enjoyment out of something like Spider-Man No Way Home, And at the end of that movie, you finally get to a point where it's like, oh, good, maybe we're going to get some Spider-Man instead of Spider-Boy or, Iron Boy or whatever the fuck you wanted to reference him as. And now we're actually getting that. But I feel like we got that in the first part of the movie, but then he's kind of going back to wanting to be back where he was. Sorry.
Yeah, they under-delivered on what they were promising in this film. But what you're saying, I agree with, where each previous MCU Spidey film, right? They weren't. I enjoyed Homecoming. I thought that was actually a pretty good film.
Homecoming was okay.
I hated Far From Home.
Yep,
and I hated No Way Home. But I was one of the few that hated No Way Home. No Way Home was very popular, though. Chat are reporting that a lot of people are now bashing it because they see the flaws that I was pointing out when it first came out. Look at my review. I was so pissed off of that film, and they robbed Uncle Ben to give the line to Aunt May, and Spider-Man was an idiot. Doctor Strange was stupid, was massive retard. But there are so many problems with that film. But the thing is, though, there was a lot of things people loved, especially. There's almost like a redemption arc for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, seeing the three Spider-Men come together. And the film was very, very successful. And so even though I've got my problems with them, seems generally speaking, each one of those films have been more positively received. And even if not positively received, not enough damage was done to the character to make people, disconnected from it and check out. Like if you look at a lot of the other Marvel characters, so much damage has been done to them that they're now ruined, right? And it's like, I have no interest in nearly any of them. You've made Thor a clown, Iron Man is dead, Captain America was brushed off to the side, and you've replaced him with not Captain America, Falcon, and I don't have interest in seeing Falcon as Captain America. Maybe if it was Falcon, I would, right? And then you have these replacements that people don't care about, like a Thunderbolts, which are now the new Avengers. As a Thunderbolts fan and a new Avengers fan from the comics, you gave us none of that. I'm just pissed off with the film. And so you've alienated nearly all the interest you had in the MCU. But this is an example of a film that what it can do when you haven't alienated the fan base and people are still invested in the character. And you have 3 films to kind of build up. And there was a decent amount of a gap, so much so that people seems like they needed to know the next leg of the story. They saw where No Way Home ended off. Spider-Man on his own, no one remembers him. How are they going to deal with it? Got to go watch it. And holy crap, people have shown up for this film. We're talking Endgame numbers, maybe even more. This is one of the most explosive box office, and it does raise the question about this meme that I've been sharing: superhero fatigue. Okay, to quote James Gunn in this thing. There is no comic book movie fatigue, only bad comic book movies, says James Gunn. And it's like, you're proving that true, James, with your own films.
Oh, you're right, James, because my gosh, like, he probably didn't expect to be the one putting out the bad comic book movies, though.
Right.
You know who's really happy, though, right now this summer? Tom Holland and Zendaya's bank accounts, because they're both in the 2 biggest blockbusters of the summer in theaters at the same time. Guys, back when I was a kid, when I was younger and a teenager, like this really didn't happen that often.
For me, Zendaya is pushed in way too much. Way too much. And I can't.
And she's going to be in Dune at the end of the year.
Like
one of the worst miscasts of all time.
Yeah, I was so hoping that Peter Parker was going to move past this fake MJ and give us the real Mary Jane. They're not doing that. They're doubling down completely on this MJ. Not happy about that. But the thing is, though,
Shad, I gotta tell you, man. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think as long as isn't Tom Holland and Zendaya dating in real life?
They're married.
No, they're married.
They're married. Okay, yeah, she's not going nowhere.
I know.
She's here for eternity.
Oh, yeah. If Tom Holland is Spider-Man, he only wants to be kissing Zendaya. And so I reckon that might have been a discussion. Like, what if we bring in the real MJ and I have to kiss someone who's not my wife? And like some actors actually do have issues with that. Chris Hemsworth won't kiss any other woman in a film because he's married. And I'm like, respect. But there are ways that you can work around that. Sometimes they bring in stunt doubles for the kiss and stuff. Because I'm like, this is not MJ. Zendaya, this is not Mary Jane. Get rid of her. But they kept her And look, that's a small problem I have with the film. There are much larger problems, but like what Rhino was saying, on a surface level, this is delivering for a lot of people. And I'm actually seeing a bit of a trend in this now. My 3 recent examples where the actual content, the story, isn't not only are they oftentimes not that great, oftentimes they're bad to atrocious, but it delivers enough of the flashy lights, surface level, the base amount that people kind of want to be able to enjoy it, that people are able to enjoy it, and therefore it's being successful. My 3 examples, well, Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, that is an ass film, doing very well. House of the Dragon, season 3, which I'm watching and reviewing with Gary on Nerdrotic. I'll talk about that in a sec. And now Spider-Man. And so my experience that actually kind of I can relate to what I think other people are, I guess, interacting with Spider-Man and the Odyssey is my interaction with House of the Dragon season 3. Most of the plot is retarded now. They've gone off the rails. There's still some good moments. This last episode had some actually pretty good moments.
I love some moments in this. The dragon fight in this last episode was awesome.
That was actually peak, right?
And fucking what's the dragon's name?
Sunfire?
His dragon showing up.
Yeah. We don't want to give too many spoilers, but that was great, right?
Laughing.
That was great. All the moments with Alicent and Rhaenyra are absolutely, totally retarded. They have forced in a character to have far more prominence, and she's constantly super Messiah. There are massive problems with this film. But the thing is, though, I am enjoying House of the Dragon season 3 because not only are there actually some good plot moments that give you a big moment, and this last episode had them, but also the surface level stuff. Holy crap. The dragons look amazing. The swords are phenomenal. The fantasy world is just so cool. We're talking about like the castles and the cities and the fortresses. We saw the Eyrie just looking brilliant here. The outfits are amazing. And so just because this is hitting my kind of buttons in regards to my love for fantasy, give me cool swords. Give me awesome castles and an authentic looking medieval world and dragons. I can kind of just enjoy the visual delight, even if the story is crap. And that's actually been my experience with a couple of things where it depends on what my expectations are and standards are. And my point of comparison here are classic martial arts Jackie Chan films, or even just martial art films going back. Jackie Chan is not the best actor, okay? In actual fact, I watched all the dubs, and so the dubs are terrible, right? They're never matching up with the thing. The acting is bad, but holy crap, the fight scenes are amazing. And then the plots are usually stupid as well. And so it's a movie with a bad plot, with terrible acting, but holy crap, I love him because the thing that I want out of him, that expectation is satisfied so well. The fight scenes are so much fun and they're so brilliant that that expectation is satisfied so well that I can overlook the other flaws and they don't bother me. And so when I get what I want out of a film, even if there's a lot of bad in it, I can ignore it. And I think a lot of people are experiencing. So sometimes a lot of them are not even noticing the bad in Spider-Man Brand New Day. And there's a lot bad because the web slinging, it's pretty good. The fighting scene, you get to see Spidey as Spidey. He's wearing the mask a lot. Spider-Man versus Hulk. I mean, on a surface level, it's delivering a lot of people want. And so people seem to be loving the film. Loving it. And do you reckon I'm on the money with what's happening with that? That it's just the surface level is enough for people and they're not thinking about it too deeply?
I agree. I think you're right on the money with it. And that's kind of where I am. And that's one reason why so much stuff between the end of Endgame and now, to me, has just not felt so empty. Like it did so much wrong, or it tried to do something with stuff that nobody cared about. They tried to introduce way too much that no one really even cared. But I think Spider-Man is a little like Superman, Batman, Dragon Ball in a way where you can just kind of drop these characters into they're so well known and their arcs are all well known. You can just kind of drop them into a narrative at some random point in the middle of their existence, and just roll with it. And it doesn't have to have the big everlasting Avenger style consequences. You do occasionally have those stories when it comes to Spider-Man, but for the most part, the pulp roots really work best for a character like Spider-Man. You just drop them in, villain of the week. Maybe throw in a few of his friends. Remember his first cartoon was Spider-Man and his amazing friends. It's not like Spider-Man needed Iceman and Firestar to help, but it padded things out a little bit. And man, the 90s Spider-Man animated show was rife with cameos, crossovers, all kinds of stuff. And it didn't always.
I loved him.
Have an arc. You can just have a fun little Spider-Man story with a few Spider-Man pals and throw it out there, and it works. And I think they really hit that groove with this particular movie, and that's a good thing to me. But I'm with Rhino on the fact that this is something that they do in a lot of the superhero media. We never really see the movies where they're in their prime, their whole rogues gallery is existing and can just show up out of nowhere. They did that a lot with Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse very much had that element to it. And we've never seen that with most of like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man stuff. It's always a villain origin story or multiple villains or this is the first time I think we've gotten a really good comic book movie that felt like it kind of came out of the comics. It could just be a random monthly comic adventure. It starts and you didn't have to read. You didn't have to read last month's issue. You don't have to read next month's issue.
Yeah. This is the crazy thing about the character of Spider-Man is that you could actually do. You know what they did for like phase 1, 2, 3, all the way up till from Iron Man 1 to Infinity War and Endgame. You could do that, but just with Spider-Man.
Oh, there are enough characters in there. Yeah,
this is the thing in regards to what you were saying about like seeing all the origin stories and stuff like this. Why can't we just get a Spider universe where it's just Spider-Man up against his fucking gallery of fucking villains, and the story just continues moving forward?
Sony have wanted to do that, but they lost the plot because they want their own MCU, and that's why we got Kraven the Hunter, which is a Spider-Man villain, Venom, Spider-Man villain, Morbius, Spider-Man villain. They wanted their own cinematic universe with the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery, and what makes Spider-Man popular is Spider-Man. That's the core, that's the heart, and his Rogues Gallery, the villains, even the side characters, everything. Those are complements. They're not the core. You can't have individual films on most of those other side characters. It's not going to work. They tried it. It failed. Obviously, they didn't figure that out. But if they focus on the core of Spider-Man, just keep making, like, as this one is proving, you don't even need great films. Just films that are on the surface level good enough, and they can be crazy successful. And people show up because they love the character. And I think one of the things that, I don't think Spider-Man as a character was necessarily ruined. He was damaged if you're paying attention. Like, there are some things he does, right? But is not at the core destroyed. One of the other characters entirely assassinated, and that's the next topic of conversation, Jean Grey. They have utterly annihilated any investment with that version of Jean Grey. But Spider-Man himself still, for the most part, felt like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man trying to do the right thing, and sacrificing his own, comforts and lives and everything, to achieve that ideal he follows. With great power comes great responsibility. If you don't subvert that, there can be a lot of crap in the film, but I think Spider-Man fans are still going to show up because they love Spider-Man. Don't subvert it. They've done that in so many other things. You think this is not like a hard bar to pass, but they've failed on it so much. Like, you'd think, let's make a film about a beloved character. All we need to do is not ruin the character, make the character be who they are, and the film be successful. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Let's make him an old depressed man and then subvert it and replace him. Let's do Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. Let's subvert him and ruin that character and subvert. And there's a list. You can go through the list of these beloved, often male characters that are just ruined and destroyed, betraying the core of who they are because they want to be replaced, right? Or the people want to replace them with something more diverse. But they didn't do that with this one. And that's why there could be a discussion on how woke is this film. There are some elements underlining, but they are very subtle. They're not as overt. And for the most part, Spider-Man gets to be Spider-Man, and that's not going to alienate the core fan base. In fact, if you satisfy that enough, Spider-Man fans are going to be happy with it. And that's why this film, right? I do not hate this film as much as I hate No Way Home or Far From Home, because Peter Parker is not the biggest idiot in the world. He doesn't cause his own problems. He's acting a bit more like Spider-Man, and that's the core of what I want out of a Spider-Man film. So even though, like, on a technical level, this new one, Brand New Day, might actually be technically worse than the other films. I dislike those other films more for what they were saying about Spider-Man.